This is the Vac-Con Non-CDL CXT3. It's very similar to our SC3 combo truck, except that this is a dedicated hydrovac. Before we get rolling, if you are interested in trucks like this, go ahead and subscribe to the page, Vac-Con John, and you can see a bunch of other trucks like this. But I think you clicked on this video to see the Non-CDL CXT3. Let's get rolling. Before we get started talking about the truck itself, let's just lay some groundwork. Vac-Con is a custom manufacturer, so we build a lot of different combo trucks, hydrovacs, jetters, trailer hydrovacs, and trailer combo trucks. And with that being said, we also rely heavily upon our great dealer network in North America and internationally, because you need a partner to help you throughout the life of the truck, doesn't matter any brand. And we have dealers strategically located geographically to be your partner throughout the life of the truck on the service, parts, and the sales process. On any of our product lines. So if you have any questions about this truck as we go through it, it's impossible for me to cover every bell and whistle that you could put on this truck for your application. Email me at vacconjohn@vac-con.com, or you could reach out to your local dealer and they could help you out. But now let's get started. Well, being a hydrovac, this truck has a very clean front end. We've got one joystick up here and our front mounted boom. Now you don't have to go with the front mounted boom. We also offer a rear mounted boom, but the front mounted boom is very popular. You see a lot of hydrovacs out there with a rear mounted boom, but when we're talking about people that are running with water departments or they like to pull up straight through a neighborhood and work off the front of the truck, the front mounted boom is a great option. That's what this truck has. So the boom comes up off the front end. We have a tie down point right up on the front with a clamp where you can clamp that boom to the front end of the truck. That joystick on the front end is just an easy location to be able to put that boom in its place. Now this truck does have a wireless remote, and most of the time we're running a hydrovac, we're going to use that wireless remote. This one comes with an Aircom wireless, but we also have a full control center on the curbside. We just like to put a nice easy joystick up here where you can actually put that boom into its mount if you don't have the wireless on you, and if you're not on the curb side of the truck, it's a lot easier to put that boom into its mounting place up front. Now, the cab is a Freightliner M2 106 Plus, so we can put this body onto any chassis that you like. If you prefer Kenworth, Peterbilt, Mack, International, Western Star, Freightliner, whatever brand you want, we can put this Vac-Con body on. But this Freightliner M2 106 Plus is my favorite, and we do a Cummins Allison combo. So with the Cummins and Allison, it's great. We have a ton of dealers that are really good at supporting that Cummins and Allison combination, but the Freightliner itself has a few things that are different. We ensure that this truck is non-CDL, under 26,000 pounds, full of water with an operator and your standard tools on board. Now, with this being a hydrovac, as soon as you vacuum things up, you could be over 26,000 pounds, depending on how much that material weighs, how much water you have on board. There's a weird balance that you have to play with that. But this chassis is a great formula to hit that under 26,000 pounds with the water tanks full. Now that we're on the curb side of the truck, we can go over some of the larger specs here. This is a 3.5 cubic yard debris tank volumetric with 3 cubic yards of usable material. We have 500 total gallons of water on board with our water tanks on either side here. And we're running a Roots 616 PD blower. So with that Roots 616, it is a direct drive blower, and we use a 6-inch intake system with it. So compared to a large hydrovac, a big truck with an 8-inch system, we're going with a smaller PD blower. But when we bring that intake down from 8-inch to 6-inch, we're seeing very similar vacuum velocities. So when I'm using this truck to do small potholes, or I'm doing water meter lines, I'm getting the same vacuum velocity performance that I would get out of the large truck with a big blower on it, because I've brought that down from 8-inch to 6-inch. So with the water system side, we'll get into the water section here soon, but there's a giant 20 gallon per minute, 4,000 PSI water pump, and we're gonna use that for our high pressure system and our debris tank flush out, along with our low pressure system. But with that being said, you don't have to use 4,000 PSI. you have a maximum of 4,000 PSI. So I could dig at 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, all the way up to 4,000 PSI, which gives the operator control about how much pressure they need on any given job. On the main portion of our curbside here, we've got our pipe rack, we have a full control center, along with our high pressure hose reel. So let's go through the main control center here. I have a full boom joystick, which is proportional, so I can control that joystick from here. Again, with the wireless remote, we're not going to be controlling the truck from the control center often when we're actually out digging. At least I'm not. I'm wearing that wireless remote around my neck. I have the full function of the truck away from the truck, wherever that hole is. But I have the capability of using that system here as well. I've got an e-stop, my water pressure gauge. I have my debris tank controls here. I have my water controls in the center, and I have my vacuum controls off to the right. So you have the full control over the truck either from here or on that wireless remote. Now, with this high pressure system, this is going to be capable of all the way up to 4,000 PSI, like I said. This is a 100-foot reel. It's currently plugged into its winter recirc fitting, so you can recirculate this 100-foot reel as you're driving down the road in cold weather. Now, with this 100-foot reel, it's a full mechanical reel. Instead of doing any electronic reels, we can go with electronic as well, but our standard is going to be manual, which I prefer. Then we also have two other places on the truck to send water. I have a low pressure handgun here where I connect hose and I can run the low pressure system off of it. You could also just run a variable handgun off the high pressure system as well. So depending on which way you like to go with that, you might not use low pressure a whole lot. It's just that when you use high pressure, you need to watch out and make sure you don't take any paint off the side of the truck. So we do still include the low pressure system. Now, we also have the full debris tank flush out. Now, with this being a smaller debris tank at 3.5 cubic yards volumetric, it's really easy to use the flush out and get most any debris out of that tank. So could you go with vibrators? Could you do different things to get debris out of the tank? I'm sure you could, and we could. But with the flush out system, you have 8 jets back there, giving you really good, powerful flow and pressure out of each jet. And with a debris tank this small, that debris is going to slide out really nice and easy. So we have all of the different places we can send water with ball valves down here. And our main circuit's really going to be the high pressure. That's what we're going to use most of the time. With the high pressure system, one thing that we do is we use a high pressure unloader. So that way when you have your digging lance, you squeeze that trigger, you can go all the way up to 4,000 PSI. Let's say we're digging at 4,000 PSI. I let go of that trigger. I have a high pressure unloader plumbed into this system where that's going to unload that flow and pressure and dump it back to the water tanks without the operator having to do anything or think of anything. It's completely automatic. So that way you're never going to damage or deadhead your water pump. So anytime you let go of that trigger, that high pressure unloader back here is going to dump that flow and pressure. With the low pressure system, you're going to get a maximum of 750 PSI. The debris tank flush out, again, will get all the way up to 4,000 PSI. Some other things that we can kind of see through here that I'm standing in front of is the fill hose. So we've got the fill hose on the curb side of the truck. So that way we can go fill up the hydrant easily. We have our air-cooled hydraulic fan up top. So that way we never have to keep water on board to cool this system. It's always air-cooled. Another thing that the operators never have to think about, those hydraulics are going to maintain great temperatures without having to keep water on board the truck. And then we also have all of our solenoid bank up front too. That way, if you're ever troubleshooting anything throughout the life of the truck, everything's engraved, easy access, easy to find and troubleshoot right off the backside of that PD blower. Up top here, we have our exhaust, and then on the debris tank itself, we have our level indicator. So this debris tank has the same thing as all Vac-Cons, which is external automatic overfill protection, and that's through our vacuum breaker door. So we'll see that on the other side where we have a cylinder back there, but the vacuum breaker door does 3 really important things, and one of the most important things, arguably, is the automatic overfill protection. So if you fill this debris tank up all the way to the top, we're not relying on a ball and seal inside the tank to seal that debris tank closed. Once the float ball inside the tank reaches the top level, that arrow on the side of the tank is going to hit a limit switch, which then closes our vacuum breaker door, which is external to the debris tank. So that way we're not going to get any clogs or debris malfunctions inside the tank with the ball that needs to seal to the debris tank. We're sealing everything externally. The other 2 things it does really well is it gives the operator full control at the wireless remote or at the operator station to close that vacuum breaker door, where you're actually closing the airflow to the system. That way you can drop a rock at full vacuum, press the vacuum breaker door again, get full airflow, go right back to full vacuum, back down into the hole. If you're driving around with half a tank or a quarter of a tank full and you disengage the parking brake or turn off work mode, that vacuum breaker door is going to close, so that way the material doesn't fly up into your filtration. So those are the 3 things that make a vacuum breaker door important. So here we've got our back door. Now this is the dome style door, and we also offer a flat style door. So with both of these systems, you can go either way. The dome style door is going to have a full hydraulic tilt to the debris tank, but the door hang is actually gravity. So that's the standard system. If you went with a flat style door, you still have full debris tank tilt, but you also have full hydraulic door open and close. You can go different routes with your decant. This is a butterfly valve, and you can open that butterfly valve, or you can go with a 6-inch knife valve. Depends on which one you want. You can also put a pump off or another decant, anything on this side where this cover plate is. So these guys put the cover plate here just in case someone wanted to add a pump off in the future. But you could also do lower mounted too. Now, one thing I'll say about lower mounted decant valves is the lower you put the valve, the more likely it is to get clogged. So you can rearrange these decants anywhere you want on the back door. What you see here is really, really popular. Now we also have the arrow stick up top, backup camera up top. Another cool thing about the non-CDL 3-yard, whether it's a CXT3 or an SE3 on the combo truck side, we need to maximize space. We need to maximize as much space as possible. So down here below the debris tank, there's actually a full long handle storage section down here where I can go through, put my spoons, grabbers, shovels, hydro excavation lances, anything that you want to keep under lock and key, you can keep it down in that long handle storage location, and it has a mesh bottom to it. That way, if I wanted to take my low pressure handgun back here, toss all my shovels and my long handle hydrovac lances, I can go through and spray those down while they're in the box, get them all cleaned up before we hit the road again. On the driver's side here, we have a really good look at our filtration. So when that debris comes into the front middle of the debris tank, it enters and then it gets kicked down through a deflector plate, and it has time to settle out in that small debris tank and get picked up through the back driver's side of the truck. So this air routing comes up. There is a stainless steel screen inside the tank where that air gets to rush through that stainless steel screen, comes through this air routing, directly into a cyclonic separator. So you got a nice, easy latch open door, and it's got a sloped floor to it. So this is gonna be your main catch-all for any silt, dust that's gonna fly through the system that's caught with that air, spins that air down to the bottom, shoots it up to the top. So this is your main catch-out container when you dump. Once it leaves the cyclonic separator, it then enters a final filter here. So there's different types of final filters that you can use. This one comes with a pleated cartridge final filter. That way you have very, very fine filtration for all different applications and ground types. Now, even though this is a really small, compact truck, we had to think about the tool storage. So you saw the long handle storage in the rear, but we also put a big cabinet box on the driver's side of the truck. That way you still have access to the tools you need, and you still get a nice big box with an adjustable shelf in it. So we try to think of these things to make sure you have all the tools you need on that job. All right, guys, that wraps up our video on the Vac-Con Non-CDL CXT3. Like I said at the beginning, if you have any questions on option content, pricing, you can reach out to me at vacconjohn@vac-con.com, or you can reach out to your local dealer. If you guys are interested in these trucks and you want to see more, you should go ahead and go here and subscribe to my channel, or check out another video just like this one right here. Thanks again. As always, work safe and buy Vac-Con.